Instructions for accessing subtitles in a language other than English are included on our board meetings webpage as well as in the description below. Instrucciones para acceder a los subtítulos en un idioma que no sea el inglés se incluyen en nuestra página web de reuniones de la Junta, así como en la descripción a continuación.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the Ross Valley School District Board of Trustees special meeting. It is February 21st, 2024, and it is 5 o'clock, and I'm calling our meeting to order. We have 3 trustees present here at the Ross Valley School District office, myself, Rachel Lueck, Shelley Hamilton, and Ryan O'Neill. We also have Superintendent Marcy Trahan and Chris Carson, our CBO, present. Board member Daniel Cassidy will be participating from a remote location at 12915 Fairway Drive in Truckee, and Board Clerk Chris Lindles-Cobb will be participating by phone from 11569 Highway 299 French Gulch in California as well. So each teleconference location is open to the public, and any member of the public has the opportunity to address the board from either of those teleconference locations. The meeting is also being live streamed via YouTube, and the link will be on our website. There is a 60-second delay between the meeting and the YouTube live stream. An audio recording of the meeting will be made available to the public on our district website within 72 hours of the meeting. So with that, I have called our meeting to order, and on our next item is the procedural items. So if you would like to join me to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. So our next item is to adopt the agenda and the time allocations.
So moved.
Second. All right, so I have a motion and a second. Ryan?
Aye.
Shelley? Aye. Daniel?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Rachel? Aye. All right, so we have adopted our agenda and the time allocations. And we're going to move on to item C, presentation and action items. So for the Brown Act, we are only allowed to hear public comment tonight on items that are agendized for our special meeting. Our open session topic tonight is discussion and direction to staff to pursue exploratory conversations with nonprofit entities interested in acquiring Deer Park property with the intent to lease back to the Fairfax San Anselmo Children's Center under the terms and conditions previously articulated by RVSD in our resolution 142223. So we can take public comment on that item. First, we're going to have our presentation, and then we're going to ask clarifying questions as the board, and then we will go out for public comment. So if you would like to complete a form, you may leave those with Teresa and look at those comments lined up. So with that,
all right, sure. So thank you all so very much for being able to schedule tonight's special board meeting, especially during the midwinter break. So thank you, Daniel and Chris, for being able to be remote, and also for being willing to have any public at your locations. So you do have your signs posted on the meeting location door entrance?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, people know where I am in my building.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Alrighty, and so at our special meeting on January 28th, the board did not provide a direction to staff to consider FACC's 18th. What did I say? 28th. Sorry, 18th, 2024 special meeting. The board did not provide staff direction for continuing or considering FACC's renewed interest in purchasing the Deer Park property since the August 31st deadline had passed, and you took action to begin eviction proceedings. Also at that January 18th meeting, Shelley, you talked about finding another path forward since the Children's Center wasn't able to finalize the purchase, that what as a community we can do if we need to consider other options to ensure that we center the families at the Children's Center, and you held out hope that maybe there would be a solution could be found to secure the child care slots. So tonight's agenda item is brought forth to explore the board's interest in wanting staff to initiate potential purchase interest by another third-party nonprofit who would be willing to maintain FSACC's occupancy at Deer Park. That has been the goal of the staff and the board all along is to ensure that the Children's Center can continue to operate at this site, not interested in selling it to any other entity or for any other purpose. I'd like to note that there are attachments to tonight's agenda item, and those provide historical background or context, as well as information that might be helpful to prospective buyers, such as the Terms and Conditions Addendum for Resolution 142223 that you all adopted on May 31, 2023. And a summary of the known facility issues. That includes direct links to the facility assessment reports from FACCC, MCOE, and RVSD. And then we also have Terry Tao, our attorney, on the phone this evening. And so I just want to be sure before we start any discussion or Terry does a brief presentation that you don't have any questions about tonight's agenda item before we continue.
Should we hear Terry first before asking questions?
We can do that. I just want to be sure that tonight's agenda item is...
I will, I just have a couple of comments.
Okay.
So conceptually, the purpose of this meeting is to address the sale to a third party for the purposes of saving subsidized child care programs in the Ross Valley, with a recognition that this is a countywide issue and that this is something that has been helping span beyond the district, providing childcare beyond the district's borders and throughout Marin County. With this significant burden that's been carried thus far by the district and the heavy moral burden that's carried with the potential facilities problems, compounded by this very real possibility of liability for both the Ross Valley School District, which does extend to each and every board member personally, it is critical that the district keep moving down this path so that we're able to deal with some of the liability issues. So far, we've had a year-long process under Ed Code Section 17458 and the active surplusing of the Deer Park site, part of the process of trying to keep us moving along. The board has also provided additional time to the Children's Center to try to purchase Deer Park. And on top of that, time has been provided to the Children's Center to try to find a new location. Now we are in the beginning of an eviction proceeding. And for the legal purposes, it's meant to continue the protections of the district under what's called design immunity. So we need to keep that process moving along. Therefore, it's imperative that the board recognize that we really cannot have any negotiations with the Children's Center due to this ongoing legal process that we're going to be in. One of the questions that I've been asked by the board is if a third party may acquire the property, make the property safe through repairs, and lease the property back to FSACC. And the answer to that question is yes. Though there are terms that are set forth in our resolution, we must abide by those terms under Resolution 142223, which was adopted on May 31st, 2023. We also must have a viable solution under the terms of a properly prepared purchase and sale agreement. And the preferred entity, because we're in the 17458 process, is a child care provider or nonprofit geared towards subsidized child care in order to meet Ed Code Section 175.458. But most importantly, because we are entering into a legal process, we cannot have any discussions with the Children's Center at this point in time because of the heavy liability that the board faces. We need to keep the process moving along. With that, any questions?
I don't have any specific technical questions about this. I mean, I've got my feeling about it, feeling hopeful, but that's after we hear from the public.
All right.
Any other
Terry, this is Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Terry, this is Daniel. Is there a purchase offer out there on the table that we're discussing tonight, or no, there's not? Okay.
No, there's not.
So Terry, this is Chris. if there was an interest from a third party that would then be interested in leasing back to the center, we could enter into negotiations with that party, right? Even though they would be a third party to the center, you're saying?
That is correct. You would be. Remember, we've gone through a 17458 process, which is the beginning of a surplus property process, essentially for the purposes of being able to make the property available for sale and or lease. So because you've entered into that process, there are any number of options that are available to the district in order to sell the property, including what has been asked of me, if the board can sell to a third party for the purposes of leasing to the Children's Center.
Okay, so I understand that. So my question is that if that discussion were to start, and you're saying on one end we need to continue with the eviction process, but if we're looking at a third party that wants to lease to the center, that process can be elongated in order to maintain stability for the families, correct?
The idea is to have this third party step in and do the acquisition so that they can maintain the Children's Center there under a lease. So the hope is that something like this can be put together before an eviction is actually finalized, or at least get fairly well into that process.
Okay, thank you.
And then our agenda tonight is just to give staff to start having those conversations and go out to the community for potential entities that might want to buy it. It's just
To give direction.
to give you direction to be able to go ahead and do
because
that.
at the last meeting, we didn't have this potential as a topic. It was solely agendized as to consider FSCC's renewed interest in the property. So that was the only item agendized. There wasn't direction to continue conversation with the Children's Center, but now that there's a potential it's not really a new pathway, but another, because we had talked about this way back almost 2 years ago now, in the process, but a potential third party. Okay. And so now that's what the purpose of tonight's agenda item is. There interest of the board to have us pursue conversations with any third party out there who might be interested in purchasing the property with the intent to lease to the Children's Center.
But we don't have to work out all the details.
We don't have, no, there won't be, tonight it's not agendized to do any of the details related to that. It's to just give direction so that we can move forward if this is of interest to the board.
Okay.
Any more questions, clarifying questions? Ryan, nothing?
Nope.
Okay. Shelley, anything? Chris? Daniel?
No, I have no questions, just, I guess once we allow that door to be open, then, Terry, you will navigate those discussions for the board, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
I have no questions at this time. This is Daniel.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I think we'll go out to public comment. Does anybody else have a slip they would like to submit? Did you have a slip that you wanted to?
Yeah, just grab one
right
up
up
there.
front.
Yeah.
Fine. Thanks. Andrew Giacomini, you wanna? We usually give 3 minutes for comments.
Okay.
So if you'd like to state your name and affiliation, that would be helpful, but not required.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Andrew Giacomini. I've been working as a volunteer with the center with a team of people trying to help put this deal back together. Everybody knows it kind of got off the tracks, and I've been working with its funders, advisors, contractors, engineers, and architects personally in this effort for the past 6 months. I have a past relationship with Shelley. We talked a couple months ago because she used to work at Marin Space when I was the chair of legal aid, and she was then working for Marin Community Foundation, which at that time was buying properties to provide space for nonprofits. They've gotten out of that business, unfortunately, or maybe we would be able to talk to them about the situation. I'd like to thank all the trustees and the staff and Terry Tao for setting up this meeting and being open-minded to a new path forward with a nonprofit partner. I've had the pleasure of discussing the project with Ryan O'Neill. I tried to reach out to different people, but I was directed to council at that time, and I understand why. And then eventually Ryan agreed to sit down and talk to me, and we listened to each other. We talked a lot. Ryan told me what was really important to the district to solve. And after that conversation and a few other conversations, I came up with a path forward that would involve bringing in a nonprofit partner to acquire the property from the district as a concept, and then lease it back to the center. And that concept was then provided in different ways. And I started talking to Terry Tao, who's been very cooperative in listening to this idea and bringing it back to you. I just want to say I don't think we would have gotten there without your support, Ryan. And I really appreciate that leadership that you provided to get us to this point. I know you're just considering whether this will go forward, but I do think this is important, and it's very much appreciated by me and the center. And so this nonprofit partner, I am the lead person for the nonprofit partner. I'll be your counterpart in negotiating for that nonprofit partner. I've talked to various potential existing nonprofits about serving that role. Lots of people would be interested. That would take a longer period of time than I think the schedule allows. And so now we're talking about standing up a new nonprofit that would take title to the property, which we would form, and I would be the lead person for the new nonprofit and seeing it through. There's different ways to do that, but in terms of speed, that's the fastest. And I'm very pleased that you'll be discussing this after this meeting, and I look forward to talking to your staff and with you in the future to see if we can find a path forward in the ways that you've already articulated in your agenda and today at this meeting. So thanks for listening. I'm sorry if I went over a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you. Barbara. Yeah. So we generally do a 2.5 minute warning before the 3 minutes is up, so you weren't over time.
Oh, okay. Well, I said what I wanted to say. I can answer questions for anybody if they want to have them, but.
Okay. So yeah, we'll do a 2.5 minute warning. Barbara Kohler?
Do I need to press this button? Okay, good evening, trustees of the Ross Valley School District and those on the phone. I'm Barbara Kohler, I'm the mayor of Fairfax, and I have testified before this body before. The town of Fairfax, the council is very supportive of the Children's Center, and I'm really delighted to hear of a new path forward. I think it may be successful in a win-win for all parties, for our children of Ross Valley and beyond, for the school district, for the Children's Center. So I look forward to hearing that. I just want to let you know that a couple of weeks ago I brought to the council a $25,000 donation that would go towards the Children's Center acquisition. At that time, we had hoped that it would go directly to the Children's Center for such a purchase, but we have discussed with our town manager, should this new option move forward, we could easily switch that to a new nonprofit partner through resolution, and just wanted to let you know our support for hopefully you all pursuing this new option, and look forward to hearing the next steps. Thank you. I think we're getting close.
Thank you. Julia Howard-Gibbon.
Hi, I'm Julia Howard-Gibbon, and I am the president of the Fairfax and Anselmo Children's Center Board of Directors, and I'm also a parent there and a parent in the Ross Valley School District. And I know I said I wouldn't talk, so I'll keep it very brief, but I did just want to come up and say thank you all very much for scheduling this on such short notice and being willing to consider this as an alternative option, and I'm feeling really hopeful about it, and I just want to say thank you. That's all.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else would like to make public comment at this time? Daniel, Chris, do either of you have commenters in the public at your locations?
I will say it's very hard to hear on our end because it sounds like a lot of rustling, writing, the scratching, but I will say that for my location, there is no one here from the public to make a comment.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
Okay.
That phone is really sensitive because we were just, I know I was taking notes, so was Rachel and Ryan, and so it's really picking up from where you are, so sorry about that. Do you need us to recap any of the comments made?
This is Daniel. I don't. It's just a little rustling around the phone, but
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much caught everything. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And so, Daniel, do you happen to have any members of the public there at your location?
I do not have any members of the public joining me tonight.
Okay.
Great. All right. So then, unless anyone else would like to make a public comment, I will close public comment and we will come back for deliberation and discussion. I'd like to get started. Shelley, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling very hopeful as well. I know I was feeling very disappointed on January 18th, but held out hope that, we could move forward with some creative solution would come together, and, we'll see what that's going to be, but I think that this is a really positive development for all of us, and look forward to seeing how we can move forward and getting out there and finding what we can put together.
I think this is a classic example of everybody recognizing the entire time about how important this issue was to 120 families. And although we are not responsible for 120 families because they're not part of our school district, I think we join these volunteer positions because we care about our community, we care about families. And so, like I've said before, every complex problem comes with a pathway to its solution. And it's nice to know that we can try to get through the haze and the traffic and the mud, but at the end of the day, resurface to really try to solve at the very core of what we're here to do, which is to solve these complex problems. So I'm happy that we are at a point of really trying to listen again and trying to engage constructive solutions. And regardless of what's happened in the past and checking the past problems away, we're still left with the problem. So at the end of the day, it's amazing to have leadership rise to say we still got to solve the problem, regardless of the things that have happened in the past, and put the other stuff in the rear view mirror and just say how can we do it today. So I'm optimistic, and I think everyone has recognized that we got to this final level that we had to vote for eviction in order to protect our body and our district. But that really seemed to say, okay, now what? It wasn't a closed door. It was a door that's closed and then another one that can open, and I'm glad that we're all trying to sit down and trying to work this out together, because that's what communities do.
Chris or Daniel?
No comments for me. This is Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Chris. I just wanted to say that, that Fargo for eviction was not an easy thing for us to do, especially given that our goal has always been to center the families and to put the families who are part of the Children's Center above any individual interest. And it means a lot that the community is coming together and we're able to open this door again and to find a solution to keep an institution in place to serve the family. So I'm hopeful as well, and I hope we can continue and get to a great end point with this. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, this is not an action item this evening, but staff does need direction on, and it sounds like all of you are in favor, but I'd like to, for sure, I don't want to make any assumptions. I'd like to be able to hear that directly from trustees.
Well, I haven't spoken yet. But
Oh, you haven't. I'm so sorry. You've been talking. So sorry. Okay, Rachel.
Okay.
Fine. Sorry.
No. my whole thought this whole time was like, how can we keep them there and how can we keep massive crushing liability from us? And I know people have questioned that, but I'm worried about safety there. And this is kind of one of those situations where I feel like we've had community members step forward and offer to help in various ways. And it took a long time, but I'm really glad that they're here and they're offering to help. And I want to do what we can since we've gone through this whole process, and I didn't do it for no reason. I didn't do it to like have us kick them out. That was not my goal ever. So that vote, as Chris said, was one of the hardest things I've had to do as a trustee. Because honestly, I want them to be able to stay in our community where they want to be. So I am all for this. Like, I was so excited when things started to filter in that, hey, this could be another option for us. So I would love to give direction to the staff to follow through with exploring conversations on this. But would somebody like to make, we don't have to make a motion.
No motion, just direction. Yeah.
Yeah, the direction is definitely there. And I think if the public hears one thing, that this board and the board previous has always been trying to find the answer to this solution. Like as the eldest trustee, I can say now on my third board that this was always the intent. So the fact that we can get here, it just shows what we've always thought all along, regardless of what the public thought we were trying to do. I know that this has been our goal all along, and I'm really proud to give direction to move this forward to try to find the solution.
And I would add too that the foundation is laid. I mean, all of the actions that we've taken to initiate the conversations, have conversations that led to the terms and conditions on the resolution 1423, the surplusing, 7-Eleven surplusing process that we went through. I mean, hours and hours of staff time, our time, resources dedicated in this direction. It feels like that was one of the things at our last meeting that was feeling heavy on my shoulders, was that so much time and staff and resources and effort and everything had been put laying this groundwork, and then now what are we, it's here, it's ready, and what are we going to do? So it feels like that foundation is laid, and now we can continue and use all of the work that's been put in a positive way. So I'm feeling hopeful. And that's not to say that there may not be bumps along the way. This is, having those conversations, but I think it's got that solid foundation for us to move forward with.
So Chris and Daniel, are you okay with that direction to staff?
I am 100% okay in favor of moving forward with a nonprofit provider.
As well,
The
thank you.
conversations.
As well, this is Chris, thank you.
All right. Is that what
Excellent.
you needed?
That's perfect.
Let's
Awesome.
go.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Yeah, let's go.
Continuing us forward and moving along. So fingers crossed. It's going to work.
Great.
All right,
Thank
and
you.
with that, we're going to move on to our next item, which is closed session. If there's anyone who'd like to make comment on closed session, you're welcome to do that at this time. If not, I will let you depart.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so it is 5:28, and I will, very shortly here, recess into closed session. All right. All right, welcome back. It is 6:49, and we are reconvening in open session from our closed session. The report out from closed session is that there was no action taken, so there's nothing to report out. And then we're going to item E, adjournment. So at 6:49, I will adjourn our meeting.